should tell him the truth.
Welcome back, everyone. This is my Doctor Strange 2 video all about the secret god-tier villain that's been hiding in the poster for the movie in all the trailers. It confirms my theory about Scarlet Witch not being the real villain of the film, or even the Multiverse Illuminati team for that matter. And this character's been staring us in the face for the past few weeks since that last new trailer was released. Some of you have probably realized what I'm talking about. And no, I'm not talking about Deadpool, because there have been a bunch of Deadpool memes.
Any tips on getting into the MCU there, Korg?
It would be funny if Deadpool does turn up during the film, but the character that I'm talking about is completely different. So if you're new to the channel, I'm doing a giveaway for the Spider-Man No Way Home Blu-rays they just announced. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your theory about the villain of Doctor Strange 2 in the comments below. Although after you watch this video, your theory about who the real villain is might change. So the big thing first we have to address is how they're misdirecting us, trying to fake us out, make us think that Scarlet Witch, or a version of her, is the actual villain of the film. But I don't think that that's true. I think it's a complete misdirect. In both of the two new trailers they released at the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, even though both trailers have different footage, the way that Marvel edited them, they really want us to think that the two different versions of Scarlet Witch are the villains of the movie. Our MCU Scarlet Witch in her new costume attacking Doctor Strange, and then Kamar Taj to force America Chavez to help her travel to this other universe version of Westview with her home from WandaVision so that she can find Billy and Tommy, or a version of Billy and Tommy. They kind of teased that during the WandaVision post-credit scene, like she heard their voices crying out from the multiverse. Then we have this other universe version of Scarlet Witch that looks a little bit different, who's ripping through the Illuminati base, this Maria Rambeau Captain Marvel variant, RIP, and those other superior Iron Man, Iron Legion robots that look kind of like Ultron. But my early theory is that this is kind of a misdirect. Kevin Feige loves Scarlet Witch as a character, loves Wanda, loves Elizabeth Olsen, says that she's going to be a really big character in the future Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5. And as cool as it is to see her go ham on the multiverse, both versions of her, he's not going to throw her under the bus. Part of the story of this multiverse Illuminati team is that they kind of view themselves as the end-all, be-all arbiters of order in the multiverse, protecting the sanctity of reality. Like that version of Baron Mordo arrests Doctor Strange and says in the trailer, "Your crimes against reality will not go unpunished." Thank you very much for helping out with that, Spider-Man, back during Spider-Man No Way Home.
Just stop talking.
They view it as their job to stop Doctor Strange, America Chavez, both versions of Scarlet Witch, from messing with the multiverse even more. That's the whole reason why they would arrest all these characters and put them in these cells. So for part of the movie, they're kind of antagonists. Like, they'll fight the mains in the movie just a little, but they're not straight up villains. It's like Captain America Civil War. Iron Man and Captain America were not villains. They were just antagonists for each other briefly because of their opposing views. So who then is the actual main villain of Doctor Strange 2? There has to be somebody that you can point to at some point in the film and say, no, they are the true villain of this situation. This will also get into the true villain of WandaVision and what the producers said that they were going for, even if it wasn't clear who the actual villain was during WandaVision. It was not Scarlet Witch, even though she did hold that whole town hostage for a week. But we finally got some confirmation from the Doctor Strange 2 poster, the brand new one that they released with the trailer a couple weeks ago. The poster with 1,000 tiny Easter eggs hidden in all the shards of the window panes here. These are the broken pieces of that main window in the sanctum with the symbol of the Vishanti on it. And there are actually two cool new details that we spotted in this. I'll talk about the secret villain first. Zoom and enhance on this part right here. This is your secret villain of the movie. And that gruesome looking face definitely makes him seem like a villain. The person who would be responsible for manipulating MCU Scarlet Witch, pushing her to use her chaos magic and do all these terrible things to try and find a version of Billy and Tommy. We all thought somebody would be manipulating Scarlet Witch to do all these terrible things. Turns out that's kind of true. And it's not who you think it is. So a lot of longtime comic book fans were posting in my feed about this, thinking that this was meant to be Chthon, the god of chaos. And back during the WandaVision episodes, that was my early theory too, because of the way they were using the Darkhold. There are a couple ways to pronounce his name, but in the comics, he's the Elder God who created the Darkhold. That's why everybody was thinking of Chthon when they saw the Darkhold. During the trailer, you see Doctor Strange using the Darkhold to perform a forbidden spell that involves the multiverse. That's what he's doing here. Chthon is also the person who gave Scarlet Witch her chaos magic powers in the comics when she was born. But here's the thing, this person on the poster is not meant to be Chthon. It's actually Despair. And confirmation comes from the Marvel toys that they've been releasing for the movie with all the characters for the Legends line. It's funny that somehow it's always the toys where you get all these details. If you look at Despair's face in the toy art, everyone's toy art looks a little bit less hardcore than they do in the actual movie, because these are supposed to be for little kids and they don't actually want to give little kids nightmares. But in the official description for the character that they're billing for the MCU, they call MCU Despair the embodiment of all fear and despair. Does it not look like Scarlet Witch has been full of despair for pretty much her entire run of the MCU and all the different movies? It just got way worse during WandaVision. The producers of WandaVision said that the real villain of the series was actually meant to be her grief, her despair, and that was what pushed her to do everything that she did. They did a version of the character during Marvel's Cloak and Dagger TV series, but I'm considering that like a completely different spin on the character than what they're doing in the MCU. Clearly, visually, obviously MCU Despair looks very different. This version of Despair in Doctor Strange 2 is way more God tier. In the comics, he's meant to be trapped in this nexus of all realities, and he comes from this group of dark dimensions called the Archipelago of Anguish. In this trailer scene where you see America Chavez, Doctor Strange, and the Christine Palmer variant from the Illuminati team open this door, it seems like they're in the basement of this Illuminati base. They open this door to what seems like a special nexus. It kind of seems like it might be the nexus of all reality. So pull out all your WandaVision Nexus memes. And it seems like they're using Despair, the character, in the movie, in the MCU, in the same way that they used the Dweller in Darkness during the Shang-Chi movie. They made you think that for most of the Shang-Chi movie, Wenwu was the main antagonist. Like they want you to think that Scarlet Witch in the trailers is the antagonist during Doctor Strange 2. But really, Wenwu was just being gaslit, manipulated by the Dweller in Darkness, who was using its power to deceive him into releasing it. The character Despair feeds off of negative emotions. Scarlet Witch seems like she's been suffering from as many negative emotions as you could possibly think of since WandaVision. I mean, even before that, going back in all the MCU movies. In the trailer, Doctor Strange talks about waking up having this same nightmare about this multiverse catastrophe every single night. Despair would also be the character manipulating him to have those nightmares so that he could feed off of his negative emotions while he's having them. In the comics, he's also known for corrupting good sorcerers, and I think that's the whole idea with Scarlet Witch, is that she does have this crazy chaos magic power that makes her super OP. It's not meant to be good, it's not meant to be evil, it's just that forces outside of her have been pushing her to do these crazy things with it. Now it seems like they're trying to tell us through all these Easter eggs that that force is the character Despair. So my early theory is that Despair is like the new version of Dweller in Darkness for Doctor Strange 2 and Scarlet Witch, tricking her into breaking the multiverse open wide so that he can escape. And that might have something to do with this big Professor X scene during the trailer. When they haul Doctor Strange in, Professor X says, "We should tell him the truth." They might be about to tell him what's really going on with Despair. Like, no, we have to stop Scarlet Witch because she's really being manipulated. The true threat to all of reality is this Despair character, and we have to stop her or else she's going to accidentally release him. That was the conversation that Shang-Chi had with his father Wenwu at the end. No, father, you've not been listening to your dead wife this whole time. She's not on the other side of that barrier. It's this giant villain that's been manipulating you this whole time. As for that other really cool God tier Easter egg in the poster, zoom and enhance on this part here. This book of magic is not the Darkhold, it's actually the book of the Vishanti, the symbol on all the sanctums and the symbol of the giant enchantment that all the sanctums form around the MCU Earth, protecting it and this main MCU reality from other dimensions, like Dormammu in the Dark Dimension. In the comics, the Vishanti are this trio of godlike beings who give Doctor Strange all of his magical power to weave spells. They explain it a little bit differently in the MCU where he gets his energy from to weave spells. In the movies, they haven't really shown the Vishanti themselves on screen, the actual characters, but they're a trio of elder gods from different pantheons around the universe. It's Hogoth, Oshtur, and Agamotto, and that name will sound familiar because Doctor Strange wears the Eye of Agamotto around his neck, that amulet. So the Vishanti would be like enemies of the evil elder gods, the fear lords like Despair, villains from other dimensions like Dormammu. If they're featuring the Book of the Vishanti this prominently in the poster, it sounds like they'll at least reference them during the movie. If we're lucky, they might actually have a cameo scene. Doctor Strange doesn't worship the Vishanti like gods, he just forms a pact with them. And there have been times in the comics where something happens to sever their bond, and he has to go seek magical power from some other source. Scarlet Witch gets her power from chaos magic, so they might also tie Despair to MCU chaos magic as well. I know there are a lot of theories about Shumagorth or Gargantos, whatever you want to call him here. They're calling him Gargantos in the movie, but really he's meant to be a version of Shumagorth. There was just a copyright IP problem that Marvel has with using the Shumagorth name. He's another really huge villain, but because of the way they're using him in the trailer so prominently early on, this also might be a misdirect. And he probably isn't going to be the main villain of the film. Usually when it comes to big twists, Marvel tends to hide those really subtly in the background.
He moves right there! Coincidence? I think not!
So everybody post all your theories in the comments below. Do you think that Despair is the one that's actually manipulating Scarlet Witch to do all these crazy things? We're getting a new Morbius trailer with more Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire Easter eggs really soon, so make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. I'll post it as soon as they release it. Everyone click here to learn about Superior Iron Man during the Doctor Strange 2 trailer, and click here to learn about all the X-Men and Fantastic Four Easter eggs in the trailer. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.